In Unit 13 of your book, we'll be discussing the division of decimal fractions, and we'll also be talking a little bit about how to round your numbers to the nearest tenth, hundredth, thousandth, 10,000. So let's get started. The number in your book, it has a kind of a confusing diagram, so I'm going to try to make it a little less confusing. You're going to take this number 29.425 and you're going to divide it by 5.35. Now, I want to express to you the importance of understanding what these different things are called. The number that you're dividing, this 29.425, is known as the dividend. Okay? The number that you're dividing it by, so you're taking this number, dividing by this one. The number that you're dividing your dividend by is known as the divisor. And lastly, the number you're looking for, your answer to this question, is known as the quotient. So, and I say this to make sure that you understand how these, to understand what's going on when I call them by the different names. Now, the first thing you want to do when you look at a number like this where you're dividing decimal fractions is you want to look at your divisor. If it has a decimal point in it, you need to move that decimal point all the way to the right. So however many spaces there are, which in this one is 2, you're going to move this one that many spaces in the dividend. You're going to move the dividend 2 spaces to the right. Now you have one whole number, 535, and you're going to try to divide 535 into whatever this number is. The decimal point then, just like in as we talked before, it goes right above. It stays right there. So the first thing we'll look at, so 535 divided into 2942.5, we're going to say it goes in there first 5 times. And it actually does. And I'm going to assume, let's just assume you don't have a calculator with you. Let's go through the old way of writing these numbers down. So you're going to take 5 times 5 is 25. So we're going to drop that 5 right here. Carry that 2 over here. 5 times 3 is 15. Now we add those 2 is 17. And we'll carry that 1 over here. And 5 times 5 is 25 again. Plus 1 is 26. So 2675. And we'll bring that. Okay. Now we start bringing some numbers down. Drop that 5 right down. We can't take 5 from 2, so we borrow from the 4. That 4 becomes a 3. 2 becomes 12. Looking over, you can't take 7 from 3, so you borrow from the 9. 9 becomes an 8. And the 3 becomes a 13. So 5 from 12 is 7. 7 from 13 is 6. 2 from 8 is 6 from 8 is 2. And 2 from 2 is nothing. So if you look, it's the exact same number. So this next number, you know it's going to go in there. The next number is going to be 5. And if we wrote that, if we went through all this again, it would come out as a 0. There's no remainder. So 5.5 is the answer to this one. And because it divided equally, there's no reason to round it to the nearest anything. Now, I want to do one from your problems so that we can show you how to round a little bit. So we're going to take this one here. Cold rolled steel, 1 inch in diameter, weighs 2.68 pounds per foot of length. So how many feet are there in a bundle of bars weighing 203 pounds? And they want your answer expressed in the nearest hundredth. Now, well, first off, we're going to start by writing the number down. So your number you want, this number here, 203.5. 203.5. That is your dividend. And the divisor that you'll be using is this one here, 2.68 pounds. 2.68 pounds. Now, remember what we talked about. First thing you have to do, you want to look at your divisor. Is there a decimal point? Yes, there is. So we're going to have to move it all the way to the right. And this one we're going to have to move all the way to the right. And you notice there isn't anything here. We're going to have to drop a 0 there, because you still have to move it the same number of spaces to the right. So now we'll just start crunching the numbers. So 268 goes into won't go into 203, but it will go into 2035, and it will go 7 times. Now we could do all the math like I did before, but I'm not going to. The number 268 times 7 comes out to be 1876. Okay, and we'll do the math. We'll drop this 0 down here. And we could do all the borrowing like we did before, or I could just tell you the number is going to be 1590. And this next number is going to be 5. So 5 times 268 is 1340. We'll do subtractions again. And now we're going to drop another 0 in there. So there's a 0, there's a 0, there's a 5, there's a 2. This next number is going to be a 9. So 9 times 268 is going to be 2412. And I'm going to give us a little bit more room to work with. So here's 2412. We're going to drop another 0 here because we still have a remainder. So 2500 minus 2412, that's 88. And we'll drop a 0 down there. So this 0 went to here. This 0 went to here. So now we want to say how many times will 268 go into 880, and we're going to say 3 times. And 3 times 268 is 804. And it still leaves you 76. There's going to be another 0. We'll drop all the way down to here. And 760. And it's going to go in there. I don't think it'll make, it might make 3 times. Maybe 2. It doesn't really matter because we're going to round to the nearest hundredth. So if 268 and 268 will give us a little bit more room at the bottom. Say if it was a 2, 2 times 8 is 16. 2 times 6 is 12, and another one is 13. 2 times 2 is 4 and 5. I don't think another 268 would go in there. So it would probably be a 2. So because it's a 2, we'll just talk about rounding. We want to round to the nearest hundredth. And that's this number here. Okay? That's this number here. So 75.932, you know it's going to be 932 something. It'll probably continue on. Because this number here is less than 5, this number will remain the same. Okay? Now if this number had been a 5 or a 6, then that number would have been raised to a 4, rounded up to a 4. But now we're just rounding down. We're just dropping this off. And the answer for question 2 on page 46 is 75.93. And we were looking for how many feet, or so there would be 75.93 feet. So you always want to make sure you remember what it is you're trying to count when you're doing all this. Now we can go back and we can do this a simple way. Let's just get the calculator out and double check our numbers. So we'll move it over here so it won't cover it up. And we said that we want to have 203.5 was our original number, divided by 2.68. And the number we look at here is 75.9328 blah 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 blah. So we're going to round it right off there. We said we would probably go on even further than this never-ending number. So it's 75.93. That's the hundredths. So we have tenths, hundredths, thousandths, tens, thousandths. So 75.93 is the answer that you would get to this one. So I hope that helps. If you have any questions, bring them up in class and we'll cover them.